We're here on a status hearing. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us for the child. Ms. Lucero is with us representing the father, Mr. Cesar, who is with us. Ms. Grant is with us as the attorney ad litem for the mother, Ms. Riojas, I'm sorry. And Ms. Archer is with us as the guardian ad litem for the mother, Ms. Riojas. That accounts for all the parties. I have Erica Flores and an Angela Tidwell in the waiting room.
Erica Flores is my caseworker on this one, Your Honor.
Welcome back, Ms. Wiggins.
Thank you, Judge. It's weird.
Yeah. Just remember, before you object, be sure what hat you're wearing.
I know, right?
Okay, it looks like everybody's with us. Let's get this done while we can. Ms. Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. We ask that the court take judicial notice of the court report filed on December 19th, 2024.
All right, so noted, and I read that report.
Thank you, Your Honor. And the department calls Erica Flores as a report. The child was in a foster home in Randall County. Is that information still the same?
Yes, ma'am.
And are there any pending home studies on the child?
Yes, ma'am, there is.
And what is the status of that?
We are just needing to run some background checks on recommended individuals for like emergency care, just in case the caregivers are not able to.
Okay, all right. In regards to the child, the court report indicated that he had asthma, a clubfoot, and would be receiving ECI. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is placement following up with the medical needs and the appointments necessary for that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any updates on Desiree since the filing of the court report?
Desiree has completed her assessments with St. Francis Ministries. She has called the services needed, and they're just needing to call her back. I do understand for Jennings counseling, we're having a little bit of trouble getting them in there. Parent support worker Deja Moore as well has tried to call, so we may be changing counselors.
All right. And in regards to Darian, are there any updates since the court report?
Same thing. They're just waiting to get called back on everything, but they're doing great. They get weekly visitations with Kingston in person. And I believe their time they had 1 hour of makeup due, and I believe that got done last Friday.
How are Desiree's visits with the child going?
They're going great. They're going good.
And how are Darian's visitations with Kingston going?
They're going good. There's just family support worker believes, just holding of the head and stuff like that because he's so little. It's not properly, but I mean, it's things that can be fixed. We can teach them.
Would it be fair to say that they're just kind of learning how to take care of Kingston as new parents?
Yes.
And are they open to the help of St. Francis in learning that?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, that is great to hear. Did you prepare service plans for each parent?
Yes, ma'am.
And do those service plans aim to mitigate the reasons for removal?
Yes.
Are they reasonably tailored to the issues of removal?
Yes.
And very briefly, what were those issues?
So we have Desiree completing parenting, psychological, OSAR and BIP and monthly drug screens. And once her and Darian have completed individual counseling, we believe they could benefit from a co-parenting and couples counseling.
Okay. But let me re-ask my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Very briefly, what were the reasons for removal?
Oh, the reasons for removal were methamphetamines use and leaving the house with the unsupervised person that was supposed to be supervising Desiree and the baby.
Okay. Now you mentioned some specific services for Desiree. Were those services unique to her?
Yes.
And can you please identify 2 or 3 services unique to Darian?
For Darian, we have, let's see, we have parenting classes and
Has Darian reviewed and signed his service plan?
Yes.
And has Desiree reviewed and signed her service plan?
Yes.
Are we asking for any drug screens to be ordered today?
No, ma'am, not today.
Okay. Are there any other requests that we have of the court?
No, ma'am.
Now, to go back to the BIP, that's Batters Intervention and Prevention Program for Mr. Cesar. What basis is St. Francis making that request on?
Just for Darian having some, history with family violence. And there's charges there, and I believe he was incarcerated. So we just want to have him be evaluated to see if he is needing any other recommendations.
Okay, and so that request for BIP on his service plan, that's for the initial assessment. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it's just for the evaluation. Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Let's see here. Pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Grant.
So I just want to confirm that Desiree has made all the efforts to contact the service providers and you're assisting her with getting in touch.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any estimate as to how long you will attempt to get in touch with those services before you change providers?
Well, parent support worker, we are probably going to make that call here pretty soon. If we can't get them in today, we'll probably have to change counseling.
Okay, and in the meantime, the mother has voluntarily taken a course at Centacor, which doesn't count. However, it can't hurt, correct?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
The mother has voluntarily taken a class at Centacor that does not count for a service, but it couldn't hurt as many classes as she'd like to take, correct?
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Ms. Lucero?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Flores, as far as in this case, when the child was removed, would you agree with me that Mr. Cesar was the non-offending parent?
Yes.
Okay, there were no issues with drug use or anything regarding Mr. Cesar, correct?
Yes.
And there were never any allegations that there were any type of domestic violence between him and Ms. Riojas, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now you stated that there was concerns for the department because he's been incarcerated before regarding some type of assault charges, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And has he advised you that once he got released from jail, he took a 6-month program to address those issues? Were you aware of that?
No, not when we went over the family. Whenever we created the family plan together, he did not tell me that. No.
Okay. So if you were to be able to get that type of documentation, would that help alleviate some of y'all's issues? I mean, he got in trouble, he went to jail, he got out of jail, and he did some type of rehabilitation classes. Would that alleviate y'all's issues to where we would even require the BIP evaluation?
That would help, but it's just an evaluation just to see if he needs those additional, resources.
Right now, he's having one hour a week visitation. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And since the baby's so young, would the department or St. Francis consider increasing those visits to at least 2 hours per week?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Ms. Archer?
No questions, Judge.
All right. Anyone else have any? Ms. Wiggins, did you have questions for Ms.?
I did, Judge.
Okay.
You indicated there was a home study. Who's the home study on?
It is on Desiree's parents, Kimberly and David Riojas.
And where do they live?
They live here in Amarillo.
And were they associated with the safety plan that was originally put in place?
With Department of Family Protective Services, I'm not sure.
Okay. And in regards to the father, is he currently residing with the mother?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Ms. Flores, do the parents visit together?
They do them separately.
Okay. All right. All right. Would it be a continuing danger to the physical health and safety of Kingston to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
Would it be contrary to Kingston's welfare to be returned to either parent today?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Gutierrez, any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor. The department rests. We just ask that those service plans be made in order of the court.
All right, thank you. I will go ahead and also make the findings of reasonable efforts on the part of the department. All right. Ms. Archer, is there anything you need to tell me as guardian ad litem for the mother?
No, Judge, she's right on track to do what we need.
All right. Ms. Wiggins, anything, recommendations from you?
No, Your Honor, we do not have any objection to the increased visitation for dad if they want to increase to 2 hours. We would continue the current placement.
Okay. All right, then I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue Kingston's current placement. I will order the services for each parent as contained in their service plans. I'm going to go ahead and order that Mr. Cesar do the BIP evaluation. If be sure to advise him, Ms. Lucero, to make them aware of what class you were talking about that he took. I think the odds are they may come back and say no further services are recommended. So I'm only ordering the evaluation at this time.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
All right, I will increase both parents' visitation to 2 hours weekly. All right, Ms. Riojas, if you would unmute.
Your Honor, prior to your admonishment, may I ask for a specific finding?
Sure.
I would like to request a finding that by no fault of her own, the mother has not begun services, but is in compliance and has made reasonable efforts to comply with her service plan.
Yeah, in light of what I've heard in the testimony, I'll make that finding.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Riojas, is Mr. Cesar there with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and as long as he can hear me too?
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Ms. Riojas, Mr. Cesar, I need to admonish you today that the services contained in your service plans become a court order. At a final hearing, if you have not worked those services, your parental rights could be altered or terminated. Do you both understand that?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank y'all. Okay. Our next hearing will be the initial permanency hearing. That will be on May 5th, 2025. It will be by Zoom, just like today's hearing. So all parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two before May 5th to find out exactly what time we'll have that hearing. All right, we will stand in recess on this case. I'll be back here in about 5 minutes or so to call another Randall County. Ms. Wildman's with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. Ms. Riley is with us representing the mother, Ms. Terry, who I show is still incarcerated in Randall County. Ms. Riley, were you expecting her? Were we going to try to have her appear from the jail?
I don't believe so, Judge. I
Okay.
think because of the nature of today, I think that we can proceed without her.
All right, thank you. I have Angela Tidwell's the only one in my waiting room.
And that would be my caseworker, Judge.
Okay, I'll get her in. For the record, we have an unknown father in this case. That's why I did not call a father's name. So, all right. No one else in the waiting room. Ms. Wildman, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. And just before we get started, I would ask you to take judicial notice of the court report, which was filed. I believe it was December 23rd of 2024.
Okay, so noted, and I have read that report.
And then the department would call Angela Tidwell. Have you had the opportunity to meet with Jasmine Terry, and the mother in this case?
Yes, ma'am. I met with her on December 19th at Randall County Detention Center.
Okay. And let's talk real briefly about Ellie. So where is Ellie currently placed?
Ellie's currently placed in a foster home, but the foster family, they are also her aunt and uncle.
Okay. And do you have any updates for us on Ellie and how Ellie's been doing?
Yes, I've had the opportunity to meet with her 2 times. And my last face-to-face visit was on January 3rd. And she's thriving. She's sleeping well. She's eating good. And she's also placed, that home she's placed in, her brother's there as well. So she actually has the opportunity to be around her brother. She's doing really well in placement.
Does Ellie have any medical needs or anything?
No, she actually just had an ECI evaluation, and she's she's up to par as far as developmentally, and so she doesn't need ECI, so she has no medical issues.
And is that placement otherwise able to take care of any issues that may show up or anything else that might happen in the future?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, was December 19th the last time you had an opportunity to talk with Jasmine?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, do you know, is she still in the Randall County Jail?
No, ma'am. She's not at Randall County, and she reached out to her grandmother. So I called her grandmother, and her grandmother stated she got a call from Jasmine on December the 28th from a number outside of Amarillo. But I've not been able to locate her or contact her since that December 19th visit.
Okay. And so at this point, do you know where Jasmine is?
No, ma'am.
Before you lost contact, or were you able to complete a family service plan with Jasmine?
We discussed the family plan of service on December 19th. It wasn't, I was unable to have her sign it, but we were able to discuss the services that I was going to put on that family plan of service.
And when you say unable, was she unwilling? Were you just unable physically? What do you mean by unable?
So when I went out there on December 19th to meet with Jasmine, I didn't have the family plan of service complete. I wanted to discuss services with her, and then I completed the family plan of service, and then I was unable to locate her to have her sign.
Okay. When you talked with Jasmine, did she seem willing to engage in services?
She did.
And what sort of services are a part of that family service plan?
I put on there stable housing and employment, parenting classes, individual therapy, an OSAR assessment, psychosocial, a mental health assessment, and monthly drug screens.
Now, what sort of issues, I guess, led to the removal of Ellie?
She was incarcerated at Randall County, from my understanding. That's why she was removed. There was nowhere for Ellie to be, there was not a parent that was going to be able to take care of Ellie.
And to clarify, do you have any information on the father or any other parent?
No, ma'am. I've asked for that information, and she's not willing to give up any names at this time.
And
she states she doesn't know. I'm sorry, ma'am. She states she doesn't know who the father is.
Okay. And do you know what she was incarcerated for?
I do believe her incarceration was for the case on her now 4-year-old for I don't know exactly, but I'm so sorry about that. But
it's
I
a
do.
Criminal case related to the reasons for removal in that case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so part of this family plan, what sort of services are tailored specifically to the concerns in this case?
I do believe that it's appropriate to ask for her to have stable housing and stable employment. And I do believe it's appropriate for her to have a mental health assessment and clean and drug screens, negative UAs for me.
Now, being unable to locate Miss Terry at this time, are you able to consider placing the child back with her at this point?
Not at this point, no, ma'am.
What other concerns do you have as far as continuing danger to the child?
Well, the continuing danger would be that Jasmine Terry doesn't have a stable housing. She's not provided us with any kind of like paycheck stubs. Her ability to care for this child is she's not able to care for this child appropriately at this time.
And is the hope that if she completes that family service plan, she may be in the future?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see. And as far as trying to, reunify, have you been able to make any efforts to reunify the child with the mother at this point?
Not at this point, no, ma'am.
Are you planning on setting a visitation once you're able to locate Miss Terry?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a visitation plan sort of begun before you lost contact?
No, because she was incarcerated at Randall County.
Okay. And so, have you been able to facilitate visitation yet at all?
Not yet, not at this time.
Do you believe that creating that family plan of service would be an effort to reunify the mother and the child?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. Ms. Tidwell, I think you've answered this, but would it be a continuing danger to the physical health and safety of Ellie to be returned to her mother today?
Yes, sir, it would be.
Would it be contrary to her welfare to be returned to her mother today?
Yes, sir.
And are you asking for any drug tests on mom today?
Yes, if we could locate her, that would be great.
Okay. Do you think it'd be wise? Does she have a history of drug use?
Yes, sir.
So do you think it'd be wise to order that her visitation not begin until she provides negative drug screens?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
Ms. Riley, questions?
No questions at this time, Judge.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Wiggins?
No questions.
All right. Ms. Wildman, anything further from the department?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Give me just a second here.
Other than we would ask that family plan of service become part of the court order.
All right. Thank you.
And Judge, do you mind if I just fill you in a little bit on Miss Terry and further information on her whereabouts?
Sure.
So when I last spoke to her, we had agreed that if she was still in Randall County, she would not appear today. She got sentenced on December 16th to 13 months at state jail on her abandoning and endangering case, which stemmed from these allegations, I believe. However, what I did not know when I last talked to her is that it appears like she got time served and she actually paroled out straight from the Randall County Jail. And so I did attempt to contact her bonding company, but now she's not on bond anymore. And I would just ask that if the agency has any additional numbers to reach her at, that they provide them to me. I contacted her criminal attorney, Jerry Morales, but he didn't have any contact information for her because she was in jail the entire time.
All right. Thanks for that. Good to know. So, okay, then, Ms. Wiggins, recommendations?
I agree with the board that visitation should not start until she provides at least a negative UA and provides a hair follicle so we can get a baseline if, unfortunately, she has relapsed since being released from incarceration. I believe placement should be continued and approved. I'm glad that he's with his half-sibling and glad he's doing well.
All right. Thank you. Okay, then I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator. I'll continue current placement. I'll order the services for Ms. Terry as contained in her service plan. I'll order that she both hair strand and UA drug screen by 4 p.m. today. And I will order that her visitation will be suspended until she provides St. Francis and the department with a negative UA drug screen. All right, our next hearing will be the initial permanency hearing. That will be on May 5th, 2025. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of May 5th to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing. All right, that will conclude this hearing. My understanding is we had a adversary on the Pope child set for 10 o'clock. My understanding is that's settled and there will be no hearing on that case. So we'll be back at 10:30 then to call another. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. Ms. Archer is with us representing the mother, Ms. Wilburn, who's with us. And Ms. Mullinex is with us representing the father, Mr. Eagleson, who is with us. I have Tiffany Brown in the waiting room.
That's my caseworker.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department requests that the court take judicial notice of the court report filed on December 19th, 2024.
All right, so noted, and I did read that report.
Thank you. And the department calls Tiffany Brown as its witness.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Great. What updates do we have on Anna Lee since the filing of the court report?
Anna Lee is doing great in her placement. She has had tubes put in her ear, and she's doing a lot better with that. She's receiving speech and she's receiving food intervention, and that's still going well.
And are those being received through ECI?
Yes, ma'am.
And to explain, do you mean speech therapy?
Speech therapy, yes, and food intervention therapy once a month.
Thank you. What are the updates on Ms. Wilburn since the last court report?
Since the last court report, St. Francis has provided community supervision with a letter stating the goals in the case, and we're trying to work with them to see about placing Annalee home.
And can you further explain the impediment with Ms. Wilburn's restriction in her criminal case?
So upon further clarification, community supervision did let St. Francis know that Ms. Wilburn cannot be around any children under the age of 17 unsupervised, nor is she allowed to supervise any child under 17 to include Annalee. And so they did advise that Ms. Wilburn would most likely have to hire an attorney to have that overturned, as she did take that as a part of a plea agreement. They did also reach out to see if we could provide them with a letter stating the goals of the case so that they could possibly present that to a judge.
So it sounds possible, but not certain, that probation may be able to take action to have those restrictions changed for Ms. Wilburn. Is that correct?
Correct.
But it also sounds like you're testifying that they also feel that it may take an attorney for Ms. Wilburn to hire to handle that. Is that also correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the main impediment with reunifying Annalee in the home with the parents?
Yes, ma'am.
And do Jessica Wilburn and Grant Eagleston still reside together?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you, ongoing for the past few months, been working with the family trying to figure out a solution?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. In regards to Grant Eagleston, what are his updates since the last court report?
Grant has completed all of his services. He did provide a 2 names for a daycare. They provide a name to a daycare, and I did contact the daycare. They did provide the name of a friend, as well as his biological mother. Upon speaking with his biological mother, though, she was not aware that Miss Wilburn is currently pregnant. So she did agree to supervise Annalee when possible, but she put a pause on whether or not she would be able to supervise Jessica with Annalee.
To provide more information for the court, did St. Francis meet with the parents and try to come up with a plan of 24-hour supervision essentially for Ms. Wilburn?
Yes.
And was the paternal grandmother and I think a paternal, not paternal, but I guess Mr. Grant's other child's mother, were those presented as possible supervisors?
Yes.
Is it accurate to say that those supervision possibilities did not pan out correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And can you further explain what Mr. Eagleston's work schedule is like to help the court understand how how a regular daycare would not solve the problem of Ms. Eagleston not supervising the child on her own?
So what it is that Grant does not have a set schedule every week. He works for sure on Saturdays and Sundays between 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. is what's reported. But other than that, he is fill-in. So when people call in, then he works. Those hours could be anywhere throughout the day, throughout the week. And so there would need to be overnight daycare. There would need to be weekend daycare. The daycare that they presented is not open. They're open from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. with a 10-hour max. And so there's a gap. There's obviously will be a gap in care if he has to work late hour shifts or early morning shifts. And so without a set schedule, that's a barrier, because we would have to let the other alternative caregivers know, what times the expectation is to supervise Annalee or supervise Jessica with Annalee.
Oh, is Ms. Wilburn visiting Annalee?
Yes, they're visiting Annalee together.
And how are those visits going?
They are improving.
Okay. Is there anything inappropriate in the visits? I'm sorry, you cut out for me. Can you say that again?
And no, I did supervise a few visits last month. There was some things that we could work on, but talked to counsel and they talked to their client, and so they have improved since then.
Okay. And additionally, have you requested that the parents attend some of the child's medical appointments?
Yes,
And have they been able to attend any of those?
they did go to the surgery appointment in November in Abilene, Texas.
Are there any other appointments that we are requesting the parents attend?
I don't know about any upcoming appointments.
All right. And how has Ms. Wilburn progressed on her service plan?
She's completed all of her services as ordered by the court.
And how has Mr. Eagleston completed his service plan?
He has also completed his service plan.
Are there any additional services we are asking the court to order today?
Amen.
Are there any drug screens we are asking the court to order today? And in regards to reasonable efforts to reunify the family, can you please explain in detail the efforts that St. Francis has made to reunify the child in the home with the parents?
It's been a few months now since we initially tried to reunify Annalie when it was just Grant living in the home, but he had not provided a daycare plan. Only recently, within the last 60 days, has he provided that. And Jessica moved into the home due to her plea agreement. We have been working with community supervision and also encouraging Ms. Wilburn to hire the attorney to have those conditions taken care of.
Do we have any other requests of the court at this time? I can't hear you.
Amen.
Okay, thank you. I pass the witness.
Thank you. Ms. Brown, just a couple of things from your report that I'm just not familiar with them, so I was going to ask you. As far as Annalie's concerned, the ECI's food intervention, what is food intervention?
There's concern that Annalie's not eating enough. Well, she wasn't eating meat at one time. It may be a texture thing or whatever it is. But so what it is once a month, they meet with the placement in the placement's home. She cooks a meal and they encourage her to eat more protein, more meats, as opposed to French fries and fruit.
Okay. All right. And then as far as Miss Wilburn is concerned, I read that she had done her drug treatment. It also said she'd done, and I may mispronounce this, didactic education recovery skills. I've never heard of that. What is that?
That was what we received from the Padre class. Essentially, what is Padre? What we know as Padre, that's what they call their program now.
Okay. Never heard that one before. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what is Miss Wilburn on probation for that causes this no contact with children under 17?
There's a charges as a result of this case for child neglect and endangerment.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Miss Archer, questions?
Yes. Ms. Brown, in the court report, it mentions Jessica not having transportation. Are you aware that she has transportation now since that report?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And it sounds like from your testimony that mom has done all she can do at this point. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're just waiting to see what kind of restrictions probation can be successful at getting lifted by the prosecutor. Is that right?
From what probation emailed me is they're going to take it to their supervisor and their supervisor is going to see if it's something that they can present to the court.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Mullinex.
Ms. Brown, earlier you said that the two names that were given for caring for the child, Grant's mom, and then the other child's mother, they didn't work out or something. Is that what your testimony was earlier?
When as in regard to Madison, she was willing to supervise Annalie. It's the supervising Annalie with Jessica, which was what could not be confirmed.
Okay, so on your court report, it says that on 12/16 that somebody contacted Ms. Knott and that she was at the hospital. Did somebody talk to her after that?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Her brother died that day.
I'd pass the witness.
All right. Ms. Wiggins?
I have no questions.
All right. Ms. Gutierrez, anything further from the department?
No, Your Honor, we do ask for the finding of reasonable efforts made by the department to reunify the family. Yes, in regards to how Ms. Brown has testified, but as well as to the creation of the family plan of service, helping the parents complete those plans. St. Francis working with probation to try to help mom get those criminal restrictions changed. As well as facilitating visitation between the child and the parents.
All right, I will make those findings for the unreasonable efforts. All right, Ms. Wiggins, any recommendations?
Continue placement as is, and continue visitation. Child is doing well.
Okay, all right then.
And Judge,
Well-
I don't know if you were aware of this. I don't know if Teresa said something at the beginning. I think we are set for mediation next week, just so you know.
Okay, good. All right, I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue the current placement of Anna Lee. Sounds to me like we've got to deal with the probation restrictions to move this case. That will be the next step. So I'm not necessarily making the findings that would be a continuing danger to Anna Lee to be returned, but we would obviously be putting Miss Wilburn in violation of her probation, which we don't want to do. So, okay, I will set a final in this case for March 10th, 2025. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of March 10th to see exactly what time that hearing will take place. I will just point out, if we're still having the problem with probation by then, this case hasn't been extended. And if we needed to, we could extend it till something is resolved with her probation restrictions. So otherwise, we'll see you back on March 10th for a final hearing. Okay, that will conclude this hearing. I don't know that many of y'all are involved. I've got an ex parte hearing on the Johnson child to be heard. Ms. Gutierrez is with the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. Ms. Mullinex is with us representing the father, Mr. Eagleston, who's with us. And Mr. Saint is filling in for Ms. Archer, representing the mother, Ms. Wilburn, who is with us. That's all the parties and attorneys. I have Tiffany Brown in the waiting room.
That's my caseworker, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, first off, I read in the report, the department's asking to extend this case and retain the case on the court's docket. Is that still correct, Ms. Gutierrez?
Yes, Your Honor, we do have a reunification plan on file. And so we are asking for that today.
And that reunification plan, is that to place with father?
I believe the parents are still residing together, if I'm not mistaken. And so it would be placing with both. I believe the mother's criminal restriction and her probation, as far as being with children, was lifted in some type of way to allow her to be with her children unsupervised.
Okay, all right, that answers my question. That's what I couldn't glean from the report. Does anyone object to the extension?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then, based on what you've told me, I do find extraordinary circumstances to extend the case and retain the case on the court's docket so that we can continue with the reunification plan. So let's see, we were here last in January. So we just, I guess we treat this basically as a permanency hearing, just so we're stay on track. So I don't have anyone else in the waiting room. So Ms. Gutierrez, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department calls Tiffany Brown as its witness. Your Honor, we ask that the court take judicial notice of that court report.
All right, so noted, and I did read that report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tiffany, since the filing of that court report, what are the updates on the child?
Anna is doing good in placement. I went to see her last week, Friday, and she's doing good. She had her first overnight visit. So parents have everything. Their home is adequate and stable.
Okay. And are the parents still residing together?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the update regarding the restriction for mom in her criminal case as far as unsupervised with her children?
The exception is that she can be around her own children.
Okay. And are there any other updates on mom since the filing of the court report?
No, ma'am.
In regarding to the father, what are the updates for him since the filing of the court report?
I think everything's still status quo. They're still working, living together, and having their visits in their home now.
And I understand they do have their new child there at the home. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that baby's name?
Bear.
Bear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are parents taking care of Bear as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So at this point, we are looking to reunify our child into the home with her sibling and both parents. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. If all goes well, we will do placement on March 24th.
Okay. Can you give me a little bit more detail on that reunification plan?
She started out with 4 unsupervised hours, and then it increased to 8. She will have her first weekend. Well, I believe she had her first weekend. And so 1 more weekend, and then we'll place.
And are we asking the court to postpone another final hearing until at least 8 weeks from that date of placement?
Yes, ma'am.
So would you agree that would be very late May or very early June?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In regards to that, those unsupervised visits, how are they going for the parents?
They're doing well. In addition to St. Francis being in the homes, DFPS has been in the home as well a few times a week. So we have no concerns. We just would like to move forward with great things for this family.
Okay. And at this point, has the mother completed her service plans? Her services?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any additional services for mom that we need to ask the court to order?
No, ma'am.
In regards to the father, has he completed his plan as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any additional services we need to ask for?
No, ma'am.
Are we asking for any drug screens to be ordered today?
No, ma'am.
Can you please identify the reasonable efforts you have made to reunify the child in the home?
Each parent has a family plan of services. St. Francis has made payments to service providers to get those services started and completed. St. Francis continues to monitor for drug screens, which parents return negative, and we continue to make monthly visits to the home as well as the child.
And would that reunification plan that is now on file in the case, would that also be a reasonable effort to reunify the family?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have any other requests for the court today?
No, ma'am.
Ask the witness.
All right. Ms. Gutierrez, are you asking for this 8-week hearing to be set as a final or just as a permanency?
I believe that we are asking for it to be a final hearing.
Okay. All right. All right, then, Mr. Saint, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor. We are obviously in agreement with the reunification plan.
All right, thank you. Ms. Mullinax.
Tiffany, would I be correct if I said that there were 6 steps before placement with the parents?
Yes, ma'am.
And there's been 4 of them that have been completed. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I think you said there had already been a weekend, but this weekend there was only 1 overnight. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got 2 more weekends that have to be done this weekend and next weekend, and then placement if everything's okay.
Yes, ma'am, for the 24th.
Okay, and you haven't seen any signs that we're not on track, correct?
Correct.
I pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wiggins?
I have no questions.
All right. Ms. Gutierrez, anything further from the department?
Nothing further, Your Honor. We do ask for findings of making reasonable efforts to reunify the family.
Okay, I'll make those findings based on the reunification plan as well as the parents' service plans. Mr. Saint, did you have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
Ms. Mullinax?
No, you're on arrest.
Ms. Wiggins?
No witnesses.
Ms. Wiggins, recommendation?
I recommend the department remain temporary managing conservator during the reunification process. I have not heard anything to say that it isn't going well, so I'm in agreement with it.
Okay, all right then. All right, then, as I previously stated, I've granted the department's motion to extend the case and retain the case on the court's docket to allow the reunification plan to go forward. I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, and I will continue Annalise's current placement. As far as next hearing, Ms. Gutierrez, I've got dates in front of me for June 2nd or July 7th. Those are the ones that are kind of around when you wanted.
Yeah, I think June 2nd would be best, Your Honor. The parents have been doing very well. Like Ms. Wiggins and Tiffany said, we don't see any contraindications
Okay.
to being able to get out soon.
All right, then. So I will set our next hearing as the final hearing to be held on June 2nd, 2025. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of June 2nd to see exactly what time we'll have that hearing. Sounds like things are going great. Maybe we'll have one more hearing and we'll be done today. So,
Yes, Judge.
all right, that will conclude. And I've got Vince Nowak in the waiting room. Is he representing anybody in this case that you know of? I don't see him on my next few cases.
Not that I'm aware of, Judge.
Okay, let's get him in and see what he's here for. I also have Haley Jordan and Keyshawn Mahone.
Those will be my worker and supervisor for this case, Judge.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What case are you here on?
I've got it listed as Caldwell. It's a motion.
I don't.
Ms. Gutierrez, Harry, Ms. Mullinax.
That's what I have too, Judge, at 11.
That got, I'm not sure. Somebody.
Yeah,
told
they
me.
vacated that. Sorry. I got an
Yeah.
email from the attorneys that they were vacating their motion.
Okay, so
Happy New Year.
whoever's here for that is free to go. Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, then that takes care of that. No one is in the waiting room. This case was set for 11 o'clock. It's now 11:03. We will proceed in the mother, Miss Johnson's absence, and I showed an unknown father. So, Miss Wildman, you can proceed.
And honestly, Judge, this is the first time I've done this. This is a procedural question. Since it's an ex parte, do we need to broadcast this on YouTube?
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to have to stop it and restart it again. So we can go forward.
And Judge, sorry, what was the cost number?
I don't have a cause number.
Oh.
Somebody's going to have to give me that cause number. Yeah. This is an ex parte hearing following emergency removal. In the mother, Miss Johnson, is not present. The mother has stated that the father of the child's unknown. So I have no one in the waiting room. Again, it's 11:04. It was set for 11 o'clock. We'll proceed in mother's absence. Ms. Wildman?
Your Honor, the department would call Keyshawn Mahone.
Okay. Yes. All right. Thank you. I can barely hear you. So, all right. And for the record, I have read the removal affidavit.
Yes.
So, you can proceed, Ms. Wildman.
And Ms. Mahone, how did the department get involved with the mother and the child in this case?
Sorry, the judge was talking and then you started talking.
You might be on a delay.
Yeah. You're having some audio problems, Ms. Mahone, because I wasn't talking. That you somehow your feed is being delayed.
Okay. Well, the department got involved with the mom due to concerns for mental health.
Were there any other concerns that came in through the intake?
And domestic violence as well.
And was she the alleged victim or perpetrator of the domestic violence?
The perpetrator and the victim.
So when you became involved in this case, where was the mother, Miss Johnson?
She was at the Northwest Texas Behavioral Hospital.
And where was the child? Is it Navasia?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And where was Navasia when you became involved?
Navasia was with the mother's sister, Shannon Carey.
Now, while the mother had been in the pavilion, what is your understanding about where Navasia had been throughout that time?
She had been initially she was left with mom's boyfriend, and then she was left with the neighbor that lived next door to mom and her boyfriend, and then she ended up being with the sisters.
So Navasia was kind of all over the place for a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, have you had a chance to meet with the mother, Miss Johnson?
Yes.
And did you talk to her at all about what her plans were when she was released from the pavilion?
Yes.
And I mean, where was she planning on going?
She didn't have a plan.
Is she able to return to the apartment that she was staying at with her paramour or boyfriend?
No.
And why is that?
He was being evicted and he had to be out yesterday by 11:59 p.m.
At this point, do you know where Miss Johnson has gone since being released? Or I guess let's take a step back. Has she been released from the pavilion?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know where she's staying?
No, ma'am.
Have you been able to stay in contact with her?
Well, I was off the last couple of days.
Okay, but up until then, had you at least been able to kind of keep in touch with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, but prior to the removal, what sort of things did you discuss with her to maybe keep Navasia in her care?
We talked about doing a safety plan. We talked about her possibly allowing Navasia to go stay with family while we got her engaged in some services.
Did you talk to her about Texas Family First and doing a family-based plan or a family-based services program?
Yes, those things were discussed with her.
Was she willing to participate in any of those things?
From understanding, she was.
Okay, and so were you able to find anybody to supervise her for the safety plan?
No, ma'am.
Did you reach out to multiple family members?
Yes, ma'am.
And were any of them willing to supervise for any of those programs?
No, ma'am.
Is the aunt that she was with a long-term placement option?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she willing to supervise?
The aunt that are you talking about Shannon Carey?
Yes, the aunt that the child was placed with.
No, she wasn't placed with Shannon Carey.
Okay. So she isn't an option to supervise or help with any of those programs?
No, ma'am.
Are there any family locally that's willing to do that?
No, ma'am.
Is there any family outside of the area that's willing to supervise?
No, ma'am.
Is Miss Johnson willing to allow Navasia to go to any family at this time? Or was she willing to, when you talked to her, was she willing to let the child be placed outside of the home?
No, ma'am.
And so, let's see. Where is the child currently placed?
The child is currently placed with mom's cousin, Virginia Johnson.
Okay. And where does Virginia? Is Virginia local?
She resides in Hughes Springs, Texas.
Okay. Has any sort of visitation been set up yet?
To my knowledge.
Have you made what sort of, I guess, attempts or have been made to set up services or work towards reunification with Miss Johnson?
We've done all of our things. She has been assigned a worker, from my understanding, with St. Francis.
Okay.
And
But
so they'll.
Okay. At this point, not knowing where the mother's residing and what her plans are after being released with the pavilion, would it be in Navasia's best interest to be placed back with her mother at this time?
No, ma'am.
Do you believe that there'd be a continuing danger to Nevasia's safety at this time if placed back with the mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see. Do you believe that part of the continuing danger is the fact that the mother has these unresolved mental health issues?
Yes, ma'am.
And that she has not resolved these domestic violence issues?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know, is she intending to return to that relationship that she was in?
From the sounds of it, she wasn't ready to leave the relationship.
Are there concerns that that domestic violence will continue?
Yes, ma'am.
And to your knowledge, was Nevasia present during those
Yes, ma'am.
domestic violence? Okay. And was there, give me one moment. Do you believe the department made reasonable efforts to avoid the removal?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe that there was no time consistent with the circumstances to have had an adversary hearing before the removal?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right. So, Miss Mahone, do we know where Miss Johnson is today?
I don't know where she is today, Judge. No, ma'am.
Okay.
I know, from my understanding, she's still here in Amarillo, though.
But I think you said, did she indicate she intended to get back with Mr. Bays?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, yes, sir. Excuse me.
Okay. So we don't know where Mr. Bays is then either,
No,
since
sir.
he's been evicted? Okay.
No, sir.
All righty. And I'm sorry, you were breaking up. I know she's placed with Virginia Johnson. Where does Miss Johnson live?
In Hugh Springs, Texas.
Hugh Springs. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, Miss Wiggins.
Thank you. Ms. Mahone, does the child have any health conditions?
Not to my knowledge.
Do we believe the child was exposed to any substance abuse?
There's a possibility. Yes, ma'am.
Has the 3-day doctor appointment been scheduled for the child?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Will you please give the contact information for placement to Ms. Orr and myself, please?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions, Judge.
All right. Anything else from anybody? Okay, then, Miss Wiggins, recommendations?
I do believe it's in the child's best interest that the department remain temporary managing conservator, placement continue as is.
Okay, thank you. One other question. Let's see, I forgot what my question was going to be. Oh, I know. Miss Mahone, have you seen Miss Johnson face to face since this started?
Yes, sir.
Was she given paperwork for a court-appointed attorney?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, then I will sign the order following the emergency removal. And I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue the current placement. I'll sign those orders when they're presented to the court. I will set the adversary hearing for January 24th, 2025. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys, if the attorneys involved, can go on the court's online docket a day or two before January 24th to see when we'll have that hearing. And again, Ms. Mahone, if you do have contact with Ms. Johnson again, impress upon her if she wants a court-appointed attorney to get that paperwork back to me, to my office, through you or through whoever, as quickly as she can. Okay. All right, then that will conclude this hearing. We will stand in recess. I will be back at noon. Ms. Gutierrez is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. The mother, Ms. Johnson, is not with us, nor is her attorney, Ms. Archer. And there's an unknown father. His attorney, Mr. Barfield, is not with us. I have Keyshawn Mahone and Haley Jordan in the waiting room.
If they could be allowed in, please.
Okay. Okay, they're in now. My understanding is there's been an agreement reached in this case, Ms. Gutierrez?
Yes, Your Honor, for the department to be TMC and the parents to work services and continue as temporary possessory conservators of the child.
Okay.
We are asking for findings of reasonable efforts to prevent removal. And those are by offering a safety plan, a family team meeting. And let me see. Let's see. Yeah, attempting a safety plan, a parent-child safety placement. We discussed the Texas Family First case as well as the FBSS program with the mother. We also attempted to locate family members who would be willing and able to supervise the mother and child, and those efforts were unsuccessful. We are also asking for a finding of reasonable efforts to reunify since removal and facilitating visitation and maintaining contact with the parents.
All right. I have read the removal affidavit in this case, so I will make the findings of the department's reasonable efforts to reunify and to avoid removal. And as I stated, there was an agreement reached, and I'm assuming that's why Miss Archer, Mr. Barfield, and the mother, Miss Johnson, aren't with us. Is that correct?
That's my understanding as well, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then. Anything further from the department?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Miss Wiggins, are you in agreement?
I am in agreement. And just for the record, I think you know, but she's placed with a maternal cousin in Hughes Springs, Texas.
Oh, yeah. We had that at the last hearing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. I will approve that agreement. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue the current placement. As I stated, I will make the findings requested by the department. I'll set the status hearing in this case for February 24th, 2025. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the courts online docket a day or two in advance of February 24th to see exactly what. Ms. Wildman is with us for the department. Ms. Wiggins is with us representing the child. The father, Mr. Mears, is with us, and the mother, Miss Enriquez, is with us. I have Juan Heredia and Katie Larson in the waiting room.
Katie Larson is my investigator judge.
Okay. Do we know who Juan Heredia is? No?
He might be the St. Francis worker on it.
He is.
Okay. All right. I'll let both of them in.
And Your Honor, before we get started, I know you may have something later in the afternoon. I think based on some of the allegations and the child's behaviors, we would ask for his privacy that we not broadcast this on YouTube.
Sure. Let me take care of that first.